well, you know him from WWE as the masterpiece, Chris Masters. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, gentlemen. And I would like to second the second to the last guy's intro. That was really good, and that's some good stuff I hear.
It's Gator Swamp, but I grew it myself in the Florida swamp.
Oh, hell yeah, man. That's how you roll. That's keeping it real right there, brother. That's keeping it real. I don't think I could grow enough for myself.
And you know what? I fucking inhale, too.
I want to start by saying that I get this a lot, but what I don't understand is how can they let someone like you go and a guy like JTG still has a job in the WWE?
It's very perplexing. It's a perplexing topic. It's a perplexing issue. Well, I mean, especially it gets even more perplexing when you think about, like, I told in a lot of these other interviews that, you know, I had Hunter and Vince McMahon coming to me, telling me, acknowledging my progress, acknowledging my in-ring work, talking about a push, talking about using me, and then you fast forward 4 months later and I'm gone. And I thought the same thing. I was like, after they released me, I mean, I was overwhelmed and shocked, but I was like, you know, I was really curious to see what the list was that day because, you know, Johnny made it clear that I wasn't the only one being cut. You know, it was a Black Friday. So, you know, I waited back and then I saw the list and then it was just even more shocking to me because I thought about the long list of guys who still had jobs. And it's not to hate on anybody, but, you know, I was really coming into my own and kind of coming on the peak of my career as far as what I could do in the ring. So, you know, I mean, I was kind of damaged goods as far as what WWE and how they chose to use me from when I came back. But, I mean, I could have easily been put in the, you know, mid-title picture and then, you know, maybe even eventually down the line, the main event picture, you know, if they would have given me the shot.
Now, early on in your career, you've done a lot of work with Carlito Colon. What was he like to work with? What kind of person was he?
Oh, he's hilarious. He was so funny. You know, we started riding together before we even teamed and all that, so it was just kind of ironic that they started having us team up against, like, Flair and Shawn and various other guys. And, you know, our relationship is dysfunctional as hell, but it makes for good TV. Like, you know, we went down to Iraq this couple of years ago. It was the last time I think we went down there because last year we went down to Texas. But, you know, it was so funny because there's like 4 groups that go on those. It's like once you get there, you're separated into 4 groups. Groups 1 is like Vince and Cena and Hunter, whoever else. Group 2 could be R-Truth and whomever else. Like about, you know, there's at least about 7 guys in each group. Now, then there was Group 4, which just happened to be myself and Carlito, which we thought was already ridiculous enough as is. Like, why do we have our own group that's just us? And why are we leaving the base? And Mike Chioda eventually named it the Probation Crew because I had just come back and Carlito was on his way out. So, you know, they just kind of pushed us aside, made sure we didn't get in any trouble. And we actually had Michael Cole was so fired up. He was like, oh, the Chris and Carly show is back because he was so entertained because we just kind of went there and had fun with the troops. Like, our whole motto was we put smiles on people's faces. So, you know, we just don't take ourselves too seriously. And we were acting completely ridiculous, taking our shirts off for the female troops, putting them back on for the male troops when we take pictures with them. And, you know, it was just, and once Carlito started taking his shirt off, it got even that much funnier. It's just hilarious. It would be like, all right, shirts off, shirts on, shirts off, you know, because they would line up and take pictures. So, you know, we had so much fun, and then the troops had fun because we were having fun. And, you know, that's definitely like one of the experiences with Carly that I'll treasure. That and I remember one time we ran out of gas watching the Ultimate Warrior DVD in Florida, so that was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, what a bad set of circumstances that is, all around.
Wow. Well, other than Carlito, who have been some of your other favorite people to work with in the WWE?
Well, in the second run, I mean, you know, obviously I loved working in my first run with, you know, some of the guys I looked up to, like Shawn, Flair, Hunter, you know, all those guys, because there were still a lot of them around. But more in the second run, you know, working guys more kind of in my age group, newer guys, a lot of younger guys. I would say, like, you know, I loved working Drew McIntyre. I had about 3 matches with him or something like that. And, you know, it was just, we have just awesome chemistry. Like, we would have been able to put on a 5-star pay-per-view match, I think, if given the time and the pushes and, you know, everything that you need to go into a pay-per-view to make it interesting. I love working him, and, you know, Dolph Ziggler was another guy. I've worked him twice, but, man, it's just like, you know, especially right before I got released, I was just getting so excited because I felt like I was picking up on the art of wrestling and in-ring working and storytelling so much, and it was just got me that much more excited to work again with a guy like Dolph Ziggler who could fly around and, you know, take some pretty good bumps. And, you know, so I'd definitely say, like, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler stand out to me.
All right, I'm sure the other guys we have here on the line have some questions for you, starting with the Studley man, Ashley.
Yeah.
Ashley.
With regards to the Elimination Chamber, that's your only real opportunity where you were in a championship shot. What was that like? Because, you know, the large structure that it is, and it must be pretty nasty, I'd say. What was it like working in that match with Cena and Carlito and everybody else I can't remember?
Well, I had another shot at it. I think it was like a triple threat on Raw with Kurt and John at some point. But the chamber match obviously very different. I didn't have to have any real holy shit moments or do anything really crazy. So I won't say that it's abusive structure and everything that they say about it. You know, I'll just say it was definitely intimidating and, you know, overwhelming, but exciting. I turned 22 years old that day, so it was my birthday, and to be in that type of match. You know, I think the most overwhelming feeling I had is that, you know, I've watched wrestling my whole life. I've watched cage matches, ladder matches, all those matches. But it's just like, you know, I've been wrestling for about 3 years, and I'd never been in a match like that. So you kind of just don't know what to really expect. Like, what does it feel like? You know, what's the pacing like? You know, just all this little stuff goes on through your head. And, you know, it takes a lot of time and work to put a match like that together, too. I mean, it's probably more work putting like that together than actually doing it because, you know, it can be such a tiresome thing mentally to, you know, make sure everybody's covered, make sure it makes sense, you know, the right stories are being told, you're not stepping on each other's, basically, you know, when something's going on out there. So, you know, those are just a few of the factors that kind of go weighing into that.
Yeah. Also, with the, probably some people would say touchy subject, but I don't know, regarding the release due to the wellness issues, do you think that helped you when you came back? It kind of, it was a good learning curve for you?
Well, it was a great thing for me as a person, but it was the worst thing ever for my wrestling career because basically what it did, if you look back, it's like, you know, I went from being a guy who could have been, you know, a top guy, and I was just, you know, I was so derailed by my own personal decisions, and I started messing up, and it's just like, you know, I learned a lot from that and matured as a person, you know, so like when I look at it like that, I don't regret it, but in terms of like, you know, really making my wrestling career a roller coaster ride, I mean, it really has, just because, you know, you look into, like, when I went back to WWE, you can tell that there was no incentive to do anything with me, so eventually I just knew that I had to work, you know, every second I got out there, I had to work my ass off to, you know, create opportunities for myself, because it wasn't coming like the first time, so, you know, and also you just look at it, you know, you have to be smart sometimes and look at it like a businessman, because that's how, you know, these guys think. It's like, all right, you know, they, in terms of if they want to push somebody, they have to invest time. They have to invest lots of money. They have to have faith in the performer. And it's like I had 2 strikes. So it's like, you know, I was just one bad decision away from getting chopped. So, you know, that always could weigh in to, you know, their decisions as far as what they're going to do. But like I was telling you earlier, I mean, you know, from what I had been told from Triple H and, you know, or Hunter, and the message passed along to me about how Vince was reacting to my matches and my work, you know, I kind of felt like I was in a comfortable place. I definitely thought that, you know, like you said, I figured, you know, and not to put anybody on blast, but, you know, I figured JTG would be a guy that would have got cut before me, or, you know, even there's quite a few, long list of other guys I would have suspected. So, you know, I think it definitely derailed my career. I mean, on a personal level, it helped me grow, and, you know, I've matured and I've seen what rock bottom looks like. So, you know, I can be optimistic going out of WWE this time because it's so different this time. You know what I mean? Like, I know I did everything right, and I know I was, you know, I'm in a good place. So I'm going to make the opportunities for myself. Last time I take responsibility for it. I messed up. you know.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've got Andy on the line with a few questions. Andy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Andy.
I've got a couple of controversial questions. If you don't want to answer them, it's fine. But
what did you say? Controversial questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Controversial
Controversial creates cash, right? Isn't that what Bissell said?
Mr. Bishop.
So are we going to make money from these questions?
you might refrain from answering them, but I don't know whether you'll... I don't think you'll chicken out from answering the questions anyway.
Oh, I don't know. They sound juicy to me now. Come on, give them to me. I'm excited. What is this?
Come on,
the first question, is it true that the drug welfare program done by the WWE doesn't look for steroids, it's more for recreational drug use? Can you just confirm that for me?
Oh, I can 100% confirm that the drug testing policy looks for everything. I didn't take any steroids since I've been back to WWE, and none of the boys like it. Nobody likes it, but I mean, it has definitely phased out. I mean, the worst problem is prescription painkillers, far beyond steroids or anything like that. I guarantee you that's more of an issue that's blown up by the media. But it's not such a bad thing to have a bunch of guys that are healthy and who aren't on stuff. And I think it did a great job of phasing out prescription pills, which was the real issue. But steroids got the main, they got more of the publicity. I don't know if it's just more exciting or people don't look at prescription pills like they're a big deal because they're prescription pills. But that's the thing that's really killing people. It's not the it's not the steroids. I mean, the steroids have some side effects that are not good, but if you abuse them and use them right. But pills have killed many wrestlers, killed many actors, killed many musicians. I mean, this is something that needs to be addressed. But that's a different conversation altogether. So there you go. It's a good policy.
Next controversial question: is the wrestling business the same business that you first went into, and how has it changed? Do you think it's changed for the better or for the worse?
Well, no, it's changed a lot. I mean, from when I came in, it started its evolution to PG kind of when I came in. It wasn't all the way there yet, but it was starting to trail back. And that part of that's because of the country, too. After the whole September 11th and Janet Jackson thing, and all that, it just became everybody trailed back from what they're doing, even MTV. But I think a lot, too, more recently, the changes have been, they definitely have been wanted to get away from wrestling for the last few years. They don't want, and that's why they rebranded themselves, and, they have certain terms and lingo. And also it's younger. They've gone very, very young, and a lot of the guys with equity have either retired or, faded out or, gone to TNA or, they're just not there. So, you have a lot of younger guys who, it just makes it kind of tough because, there's always been kind of a process where there's always been a lot of veterans around to help people out, like I had when I first came in, like Sean, Hunter, and Flair kind of really helping me out with things like my entrance and, just working with them all in various places around the world and, just getting that ring time. But, now it's much more scarce. You have a lot of guys who don't even have 10 years of experience, leading up guys with 2 years experience. So, and it takes, everybody gets it at a different rate. Like Kurt Angle was like a miraculous, obviously he was an Olympic wrestler who was able to transition like super quick into sports entertainment or pro wrestling and do well. But, the fact is this is something that takes a while to get. And, that's another part of the problem is, a lot of guys get rushed out developmental, just like kind of I was, where you're not necessarily ready, in the ring. And, I wasn't ready just because I was so young, too, and I just wasn't mature enough for the road. But, you get a lot of guys that get brought up real quick. And, it takes a long time to really get this and get what it's about and, get enough reps under your belt to where you're comfortable and you can really tear it down.
Yeah, and do you think that the modern day wrestling fan, now they've got the internet and all of the various different medias, they've sort of been let in behind the back door, so to speak, and they know all the secrets of blading and so on and so forth. Do you think that spoils the magic of wrestling now, that most people know and look for the people like Ric Flair? Oh, there's the little razor blade in his wristband, whatever. Do you think that really spoils wrestling now?
Well, I don't think so.
It's more open.
It depends on how you look at it. I don't know, because, you know, eventually as a kid, I knew wrestling wasn't real. And, you know, I just kind of always, you know, and even as a wrestler, I felt like my goal was always to go out there and get them to believe. You know what I mean? Because I feel like everybody kind of knows it's a show. And so at this point, it's, you know, and that's what kind of helped me really progress was like, you know, I actually kind of stopped thinking about all the wrestling I watched, and just when I was out there, like if I was taking heat and getting beat up by somebody, you know, I would just, you know, if he didn't really hit me hard, obviously, I would just try to sell everything exactly how, you know, I felt it should be sold, like, basically, and get really emotionally involved to where, you know, I almost feel like I really am in pain from this guy. I mean, unless I was wrestling Jack Swagger, then I didn't really have to do it. It was just came naturally. But, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, I think it's our job to kind of take people away, like make them forget the fact that it's a show and really kind of want to get behind a babyface who's like in, you know, in the ring taking an ass whooping. You know, that's the goal. Is you want them to believe in you. They want you to come back and they want to see that bad guy get his ass whooped, and they just kind of get lost in the show.
Right. Just one final question. I listened to your interview that you did with the other guys on Monday, and it was a nice interview. And I heard you mention that there's a possibility you might be wrestling in Europe. Obviously Europe includes England. Do you know if you're actually going to come to the UK?
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, you know, I really love Europe, and I went down there a lot the last time I had my break from WWE. So, you know, I think some of my fondest memories are actually working in Europe and some of those tours, like for NWE and American Rampage. So, you know, hopefully they got some stuff going on over there again. I don't know. This is still, you know, I haven't even been released, maybe a month now. So, you know, I've got a booking that looks like it'll be coming up in Belgium in October, so I'll be going over there. And I don't know if I have any immediate Europe dates yet, but I'm sure some stuff will develop in the upcoming weeks.
No problem at all. Well, I look forward to hopefully seeing you cross the British waters, and if you do, I'll make sure I'm there with a ringside seat. It's nice to talk to you, and all the best in everything you do in the future.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, man.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
Question from the chat room. Chris, what do you think of the fans that try to get themselves over, like the WWE clown?
The fan, I don't know about this WWE clown. I mean, I know of one fan that all of the boys know about, which is the same guy who comes to like a lot of shows. I think over in the you know, like the Mid East and Southeast, I believe. But he's this guy who will go to like every show that we have when it's in the area and sit in the exact same spot in the front row, and he has the most creative signs that you'll ever see. So, I mean, I don't know. I know that guy's over. I don't know who the clown guy is.
Yeah, apparently there is some.
There is some guy Deal or No Deal, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a guy who thinks he must be the love child of Doink the Clown or something, because he dresses up with the full makeup and everything.
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty funny. Pretty funny idea there in itself. You know, it might be kind of interesting. You know? Just the fact that somebody's out there, you know, referring to Doink, I think is great.
Yeah. Also on the line...
Bring back Bastion Booger.
And now...
What if he had a kid, huh? What about the Bastion Boogler?
Actually, that's...
It's time for the weird question. So,
second generation superstar.
No, Bastion
time for the
Booger
Iron
did have a
Rev Jake
kid.
Slayer
He
in his
hosted the show.
quirky corner.
Huh.
What, Rev?
I said Bastion Booger did have a kid. He's called Billy Boudreaux, and he's the host of your show.
Oh, ouch. Oh, brother, you said it.
Ow. Ow, my pride.
Go ahead, you got any questions?
Emotionally wounded.
We step on your pride almost every week.
Go ahead, Rev.
Real quick, who do you have the most
Hold
Oh,
on.
Rev, we lost you there, Rev.
He sounded like he was on to something good, too.
No. Who do you have the most respect for, and who do you have the least amount of respect for in the WWE?
Oh, man, that's a good question. The most amount of respect for, I mean, I can point out traits in people. I mean, I don't know if there's somebody, I mean, you know, as much as people criticize John Cena's, like, or criticize his work and whatnot, I mean, he's a pretty respected dude in terms of his work ethic, because he really does kind of bust his ass with the company, and, a guy never has a day off and whatnot. So, he's definitely a respected guy. He's not on the top of my list. I respect, obviously, like Shawn Michaels, I'd put him on a pedestal. And, Undertaker is a guy who commands respect. He's just the locker room leader whenever he's around. I don't know, people who I disrespect, I'm not too big on, like, or I have the least amount of respect for. I'm not big on, like, Cody Rhodes, and I'm not big on, I like MVP, but, he's a bit iffy sometimes too, so.
That's cool. Now, wrestling has gotten so commercialized now. And I have this phrase like wrestling is like a cross between Santa Claus and crack. The older you get, the less you believe, but you still need one more fix. And I did some wrestling back in the mid 80s, back, in the indies. And back then, it's like you got $50 to get in a car and drive 6 hours, barely paid for gas to show up. Do you miss, like, those, like, old-time road trips compared to, like, what it is now? Because back then it was fun. You did it because it was fun. It just looks like all the fun ran out of it when you're a highest caliber wrestler as you are and put in that position. It just looks like it's totally not fun.
So you're comparing, like, you want me to compare WWE to working just good old-fashioned indie?
Yeah. Which do you prefer?
Well, like, WWE, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. WWE is it's what I've always aspired for. I think it's what most people probably aspire for when getting into the business, because it's like, that's the premier wrestling company in the world. But, it has its negatives just like anything else. It's a very stressful job, obviously, because, you always got to be ready to perform, and you can't call in sick. You can't do, you're constantly on the road, so that's already tiresome, and, then you got to drive on top of it. I've noticed, like, somebody was you guys were asking about Europe before, I kind of equivalent, like, doing some of those tours that I did over there as just the business and just having fun without all the negative, because it was like we went down there and we had 2 weeks where we worked about 10 dates, and we had decent hotels, we were fed, and it was just like, it was fun. And I had my boys with me, like RVD and Sabu, and a lot of other cool guys were on those. So it was just, and Rikishi, I don't want to leave him out, but that was fun. That was probably the most fun I've ever had in the business. But, you just can't help but aspire for WWE, because the difference, too, is WWE is a career, with these tours and indies. It's like, you're working and you can go from date to date, but, there's no consistency to that, and, you get hurt, you're screwed. So, there's lots of, there's pros and cons for both. Bottom line is I enjoy performing in front of, and wrestling in front of people. And so, no matter what, I can take the trade-off on either side.
No, I respect that. My last question, it's real quick, and it's half a compliment and half a cheap shot. You have a hell of a body. No one can take away from your physical attributes. Now, is that all natural, or like in the beginning, did you require a little bit juice to get that big?
No, I've never denied it. Obviously, I had wellness. This is the thing. A lot of people bring up my first run and they think, oh, it was all steroids. Well, I'm not going to deny that I took, anabolic steroids at that point. Everybody was around that point. That's when there wasn't any drug testing enforced, and it was just kind of a unspoken thing. But, the thing is, at the same time, is I never, upon my return, I never did take them, because, that's just the way the policy works now. There's no kind of real wiggle room or anything like that around that. So, you don't need stuff like that to put on muscle and gain size. But, I was every bit of, probably looking back at it when I first came there, at about 280 pounds. But, like I said, that's what gets all the attention. But, my real problem at that point in my career was the prescription pills, and that was more the real issue, and everybody just kind of focused on anabolics, because I came back off that one return, and everybody thought I had lost 30 pounds, but really what it was, I mean, I had gone to rehab to get off pills. It wasn't that I had a steroid problem, which is crazy. And, I did a lot of jogging in my time in rehab, and it actually made me lose a lot of weight. I didn't even realize. So, when I came back, everybody was like, whoa.
No, I more than appreciate your honesty, and thank you. And just out of curiosity, like the steroids, are you okay, or did your balls shrivel up and fall off?
Oh, God.
Wow. No, my balls are fine.
I'm the one that will ask anything, man. I asked Al Snow if he was wearing pants, so I'm good now.
Well, no, my balls are okay. I will say that my balls are in good shape. There's still 2 of them, and they're there. They didn't fall off.
Oh, are you? I'm gonna.
I mean, they hang a little bit, but they don't fall off. Although at least that was the last time I checked. I mean, I don't know, man. Shoot.
I'm gonna.
You got me worried.
I'm going to let somebody else ask the question, but go to the WrestleGamersShow.com, go to our store, and buy a WGS condom pack. WGS Radio, your cock is safe in our hands.
All right, thank you. Thank God I know to have that information.
Evidently, my life isn't safe in his hands anyway.
Quick, let's go over to he calls himself Dashing Kevin Walsh, and I believe you're a wrestler in training, aren't you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm actually training to be a wrestler right now. I don't know, Chris, if you're familiar with any of the English promotions over here. One being called IPW. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of IPW. Who runs it?
Some guy called Daniel something. I forget. But there's a lot of ex-WWE talent who works with promotion. And
well, hopefully I'll get to know it real soon.
The promotion with Paul London. Well, I have 2 questions, if that's all right.
Yep.
First one is, in your time in WWE, what was your favorite match, and who was your favorite opponent you've ever wrestled?
Okay. Well, in terms of that question, 2 matches stand out. Shawn Michaels, Unforgiven, 2005, just because it was pay-per-view and Shawn Michaels, and the second one probably be any of the matches with Drew McIntyre over the last year. I think we put on some really, really, really good matches. If there's any, I mean, the last one we had, I think it was in March. I mean, anybody hasn't seen that one, I would definitely suggest checking it out. And, I mean, there was obviously a lot bigger matches than that. I've worked at WrestleMania and, various pay-per-views. But, those are just 2 single matches that stand out to me that I remember being really happy with.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to ask you is about the push that you were supposed to get that Hunter Kane spoke to you about. Because I remember watching you on WWE Superstars, and you was winning matches back-to-back against guys like JTG, Tyler Rex, which you had a lot of good matches with him, Drew McIntyre, like you said. Is there anything that you can collaborate on that, on what they might have had installed for you? Like maybe main event push, mid-card? Something like that?
I don't know. I really was kind of under the mindset that this was going to be my best year ever. I just kind of figured like I had fully devoted myself to WWE and the, wrestling, sports entertainment. That was it. I didn't have a wife or girlfriend for the first time in my career. So it's like there was no distractions. And I just really made it a personal mission of mine to not only prove to the, either the wrestling fans and the IWC that I'm not just a body, I'm a guy who can work. But, also prove it to the company because, the company had no incentive to do anything with anything. So, I mean, it's just like I felt like the underdog, but I kind of thrive under that. So, that's what kind of motivated me.
And
I don't know what they had planned. I mean, all I know is that they pulled me aside and acknowledged it and said that there was definitely, they just wanted to figure out what to do, whether it was a fresh coat of paint or repackaging or take me off TV for 3 months. I mean, those were some of the various things that were thrown out. So, I just figured that, it'd be almost common courtesy, at least, if you go from a position like that where you've worked your ass off for the last year and you've been told that by the highest positioned people in the company, you figure they'd at least give you a conversation as to why the release was happening or whatever, you know what I mean? Just have some decency.
Yeah, most definitely. And you definitely upped your game in the ring, without a doubt. You definitely got a lot better, without a doubt. I could easily see that with new moveset and whatnot. And
Thank you.
Definitely did really well. And I just want to say, you know, it was a pleasure talking to you. You know, much like any other wrestler, you know, who's obviously wrestled in the WWE or just wrestling in general, because, you know, I'm training in wrestling, and it's always an honor to, obviously, to, you know, a fellow wrestler who one day I hope to inspire to be like, definitely. So,
all right, well, best of luck to you, man. Best of luck.
Thanks a
Right,
lot. Cheers.
we've got one more person on the line with questions. We've got a couple of questions in the chat room, and then that should be it. So we'll go over to Rick Starr. Rick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Sorry I'm a little late to the party. I apologize. Mr. Masters, it's an honor to have you on the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, what's up, Rick? I'm fine.
Okay. I have one question. Just right after your release in the WWE, you tweeted that you got tickets to SummerSlam. I was just curious, did the WWE offer you those tickets for free, or did you have to pay for them?
Oh, no, I didn't buy the tickets, actually. A friend of mine was already had some tickets lined up, so he made me aware of that, so I knew the option was there to go. But, you know, after we went down to the Access, it just kind of didn't feel like, you know, I just kind of, when I went and crashed that, it got so crazy, and there were so many people there that, and we had got so much good footage that I didn't even know if it was necessary to go to SummerSlam, and I didn't know if it was crossing the line either. I didn't know if that was, you know, going to upset the company and burn that bridge, and you know, and quite frankly, even beyond that, is I didn't know if I really even just wanted to be there. So, you know, I kind of really didn't even want to be at SummerSlam that day. You know, I felt like just relaxing, and you know, that was it.
I hear you. Okay, I have one other question, and I'm not sure if you answered it or similar to the Scott question. How do you feel the hierarchy is in the WWE? You know, you have people like John Cena who have worked his butts, you know, who works his ass off every day, to like people like say yourself or JTG, who unfortunately were kind of like stepping stones in the WWE. No disrespect at all. Kind of like every day, always get like, you know, who have lost match to lose match to lose match.
Oh, Rick, I hate to interrupt, man, but man, we're blasting the fuck out of JTG tonight.
I know, ouch. But you know what?
I'm not no disrespect to any of them, but they do kind of lose matches every time, and they don't ever seem to get that break or get that.
Well, I mean, I was in that same position. I mean, in 2009, I think I had a string where I lost like every single match for months in a row, and then all of a sudden they started, you know, after, you know, they started noticing my work, I started winning. But I mean, all my wins were on Superstars. So, I mean, you know, to some people they didn't even happen. But it's funny you put JTG on blast. It's no different. The boys would always put JTG on blast all the time. Not about, you know, being a quote-unquote jobber enhancement guy like you're saying, but, you know, it's just one of those things where, I mean, wrestling's a weird line of work in sports entertainment where you can constantly reinvent yourself. So it's like, yeah, 1 minute you can be the guy losing every match, but all of a sudden there's a good idea for you, and then bam, you know, that's your launching pad. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those lines of work where, you know, you keep going through with it, hoping that something like that will come along for you. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't, and then sometimes it does.
So, okay, so you pretty much think, you know, if you're not selling to the crowd, then the WWE is pretty much just going to say, hey, look, we're going to leave them as this. Pretty much what you're saying?
What's the question?
So I was saying, so you think that the WWE is all about selling. If you're not selling the crowd, that WWE isn't going to sell you, kind of, you know. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I don't know about that because some guys they don't give the opportunity to. Like some guys they just give the push to, and they kind of force them down fans' throats. Like, this is going to be a top guy, and you're going to like him. Some guys get over on their own. Or then you have a guy like me who is like one of their best-kept secrets they could have done something with, and then they just decide not to. So, you know, it just, you know,
okay.
I could have gotten over if they would have given me the shot. Like, I was already getting good reactions with like 0 TV time, you know, just based off the what I was doing. So, I don't know. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, that did. Thank you very much.
Now, Chris, before we go to the chat room questions, we kind of have our tradition for our guests here on WGS Radio. We like to ask them, do you have any favorite or funny road stories you can share with us here tonight?
Well, I mean, I just thought the one I had brought up to you guys earlier was pretty funny. I was going down the road with Carlito, and we were watching the Ultimate Warrior DVD for, I don't know, it just came out and DVD players were out at that point, so, and we had a long drive, so, you know, we just figured we'd pull that out and see what it was all about. And, you know, entertain ourselves, because we had a 4-hour drive ahead of us. But, you know, apparently we were just so mesmerized and just loved this DVD so much that we drove, and eventually ran out of gas. Didn't even realize we hadn't filled the gas tank, so we completely ran out of gas. It was like in the middle of nowhere. It was like 4 a.m. You know, no good resolution in sight. Neither one of us has AAA. You know, what a couple of jackasses. You know what I mean?
Oh my.
Terrible, right?
Oh,
Make
man.
sure before we... That's a lesson in life. Make sure you fill up your fuel, especially after watching the Ultimate Warrior DVD.
Oh, yeah. Still watching Drive, period.
I have one more quick question.
Oh, go ahead, Rev, quick.
Hey, Chris, is there any way we can get you to say, "Hi, I'm Chris Masters"?
Oh, I was
and
going
you're
to get that.
listening to the
I was going to get that sorted out,
WGS
Rev. I was going to do that at the end, Rev. Give me a chance.
Radio Network.
Give me a chance, Rev. Give me a chance. I'll do that at the end. Come on.
Okay.
A couple of questions in the chat room. There is one person who is avidly asking, who is your favourite cameraman? Apparently the person's good friends with Marty.
Who's my favorite what?
Cameraman.
Cameraman.
Oh,
Marty.
I like them all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Stu, the one who works the ramp. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think probably Stu, the one who works the ramp. But you know, they're all pretty cool. Marty and Rico, they're all real cool guys that work the cameras. They're awesome.
There was another question. What's it like? What's it like back in the locker room? You know, is there any bickering and fighting and all that, or?
There's some ball busting. I think there's not as much like Jersey Shore drama as you'd like nowadays, but you know. But I mean, you know, there was a lot of that when I first got up there, especially when you had a lot of the guys like Bob Holly and JBL. You know, there's a lot of bullying, and every other week somebody would have heat for something, and you know, then that would be the whole focus is why that person has heat until the next person gets heat. You know, now it's just a lot more ball busting, but it's a lot more, you know, it's more conservative. Like, you know, everybody, you know, it doesn't get, I haven't seen any crazy fights or anything recently. You know, I think the last crazy fights that went down were, was either Big Show and Khali or Booker T and Batista, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds interesting. And
Definitely
finally,
does.
a question from the chat room, and probably a nice question to round off the interview. What is in the future for Chris Masters? You've mentioned the independent bookings, but I believe you've got, I heard some mention of you filming stuff at the SummerSlam Access event.
Well, yeah, I mean, my plan was to do Masterpiece Theater, which, you know, I want to compile some footage from some of my upcoming dates and give the wrestling fans kind of what they want to see and make it entertaining and, you know, kind of behind the scenes and the travel and, you know, the backstage and all that stuff. But also, I mean, I'm just not leaving anything off the table this time. You know, this is very different from the first time I was released, and I just kind of think that it would be smart to consider all my options, pro wrestling and not. But, you know, I still realize I'm full aware that my passion is with sports entertainment and pro wrestling, so as long as I can make a living doing it, I'm going to do it. So it's just about where is to next, whether it be Japan, TNA, or, you know, just Europe or whatever. I don't know. You know, I got to see what's out there at this point.
TNA.
Right.
If you go, I live 70 miles from the impact zone. If you get a contract with TNA, I'll go to Orlando and I'll smoke weed with you.
I don't know if he can go to TNA. I don't think he's reached the age limit yet that he has to be in there. You know what I mean?
You know what? A lot of people knock TNA, and I really would like to see a lot of other wrestlers go. You know, superstars go to TNA.
Well, you know, it's just I mean, they have the talent. I mean, I don't know. My position is this: WWE invested in me since I was 19, and they didn't capitalize on me when I was reaching the peak. Like, this is what could have been. You know, if you're going to invest in me that long, you might as well capitalize on me when I'm coming into my own and ready for it, which was right now. So, hopefully one company's loss can be another one's gain, and, TNA just has to figure out the formula. It's still a young company if you really look at it from the big scheme of things. So, they just need to develop a formula kind of like Vince did. Vince just has the formula down, and it's hard to compete with because they know how to, for the most part, build guys and, keep things going. They got the music, they got the pyros, they got the right camera work, they got it all. So, it takes a while to get there.
Well, if you really want to look at the people who wasn't used in WWE and someone who used and built a great monster or a great wrestler, Matt Morgan is the epiphany of that thing. Matt Morgan was used. He was in the WWE and they did nothing with him. He left.
Well, yeah, they screwed him over though too. They gave him a bad character. That wasn't Matt's fault again. And it just goes to show that. There's a number of factors. Why did Matt Morgan get released? He's a 7', 300-pound guy. And they gave him a stuttering gimmick. It just, I don't know. Some things just don't make sense. But you could drive yourself crazy pondering these questions all day.
Well, so I think the same thing with you. You're a big, powerful guy, and with all due respect, I thought the Master Lock Challenge was rather foolish. Here's this guy just every week just doing the same thing. Let's see what he can do in the ring. Let's see who he can beat. And I understand you do it for the first couple of weeks, but, how long did you do that?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I was always the type that didn't want to do the Master Lock Challenge too long. I didn't want to do the pec mounts too long. I just kind of wanted to evolve as a performer out of everything. And I think the bigger struggle outside of the Master Lock Challenge was the pec dance because, that became, it got over, but it was just so comedic, and it was only really a stick that you're not going to want to see that forever. So it's just, for me, I was just trying to figure out, how do I evolve out of this, and first things first, I, wanted my work to, I didn't want that pec thing to overshadow my work, so I just, realized, I'm going to have to work my ass off to just show, to be good enough to be thought of outside of this, basically, and used. But, I agree with you, but it did get the move over because the thing is it's only a full Nelson, and still to this day, just the gesture of it gets a reaction. So I think you're looking in the wrong terms of things, probably the way I would probably look at it too, though. And it wasn't about necessarily making entertaining TV or anything like that, but, it kind of built a finisher forever. Just seeing that as many times as you did, to now where crowds react for it and they know it's coming. Even to this day, with the lack of TV time and everything else, pitted against me.
Kelly, for being that for some entertaining TV. Anyway, before we let go, can we get you to drop a line for our radio show?
Sure.
Okay, something along the lines of, this is the masterpiece, well, whatever you do, Chris Masters or whatever, and you're listening to WGS Radio on Blog Talk Radio.
WGS Radio on Blog Talk Radio?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hang on a sec. I just want to make sure I don't do this wrong. WGS on, what was it? One more time, Blog Talk?
Blog Talk Radio. Yes.
On Blog Radio?
Blog Talk Radio.
All right. And you just want me to call it WGS, right?
Yeah, WGS Radio.
WGS Radio, whatever.
Radio Blog Talk. All right. You ready for me?
Yes.
All right. This is the Master, Chris Masters, and you are listening to WGS Radio on Blog Talk. Check it out.
That is sweet. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be announcing that I will run for president.
Oh.
I'm watching the Republican candidate debate, and I just know that I got to get into this thing because this guy Perry does not know what he's talking about, and neither does Mitt Romney over here. So I think I'm running for the Republican nomination.
Oh, wow, you heard it here first. Just as long as you aren't bloke from that New York and you just say, the rents are too damn high. Oh, my God. Well, on that note, Chris Masters, thank you very much for joining, and it was indeed an honor and a pleasure having you on tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. Let me throw two things out, actually. Twitter, you can follow me, WWE Master P. Bookings, emails, or bookings, interviews, etc. You can reach my booking manager, Vess, at masterpiece83@gmail.com. So check those out.
Sweet. With that, thank you very much, Chris.
Did you get that on there? Or if not, just put it on, link those on your site or whatever if you could.
Yeah, we'll link them on the blog description and everything, yeah.
And
Chris,
also, you're going to be on our WGS Wall of Fame, and I'll put that link up as well.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. We all done?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Chris.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,